Hello and welcome to the session of virtual class of English language teaching. Students, today we will be dealing with the chapter from Flamingo, the very first chapter, and the name is The Last Lesson. The Last Lesson by Alphonse Daudet, and his date of birth, that is 1840, and the span of time 1897. As far as Alphonse Daudet is concerned, he is a great French novelist and a short story writer. He has written many stories, and in this chapter, as this chapter was written during the post-war, the war was between Prussia and France. And later on, it so happened that German took over the French language, which was led by Bismarck. And finally, after reading this chapter, we'll come to know about the conditions of the people, the teacher, and the villagers, how they felt when they come to know that this is their last French lesson. Now, students, the main theme, and in this chapter, the main theme is that the pain that is inflicted on the people of the territory by its conquerors by taking away their right of studying or speaking in their own language. This lesson depicts the importance of one's own language for his or her existence. It also brings about linguistic chauvinism. So I think, students, this is a new term you might come across, that is a linguistic chauvinism. It means carrying pride for one's own language. That means how one loves his own language. And the sub-theme is that students and teachers' attitude to teaching and learning and the habit of postponing learning. And now, some main incidents of the story. Before going to the main content of the story, I would like to brush up you with the incidents of the story. So the very first incident is that teaching of French was banned in the schools in the district of Alsace and Lorraine. M. Hamel, in his best clothes on the last day of the school, a school student named Franz enters the silent class with the fear and finds that his teacher spoke to him politely. He finds that the back benches of the classes were occupied by the villagers. M. Hamel, the teacher, teaches dedicatedly and explains the importance of one's own language. While addressing the gathering in the end, his throat chokes, and the writer writes on the blackboard, "Vive la France." It means long live France. The lesson is a fine example of love, dedication, inclination, and significance of learning of one's own language for existence. So students, this is just one general introduction I just gave to you before entering into the main chapter. So now in your screen, you might be seeing the main points of the lesson. So that means that I'll just explain in detail the lesson. That is the last lesson, the very first lesson in the English core text, Flamingo. So when the story begins, the lesson is narrated by a little boy and his name is Franz. And on that very particular day, little Franz was a bit late for school. And moreover, he was not at all interested on that day to go to school because the previous day his teacher announced that he will be questioning the class about the participles. And as far as little Franz is concerned, he doesn't know the ABC of a participle. So in his mind, he got one more option, that is to skip the class and wander outdoor. And outside, the environment was very tempting. It was a very pleasant day. And the chirping sound of the birds and he just wanted to spend the time in the day in the laps of the nature, and moreover he could also enjoy the drilling sound of the Prussians. This was the option with him, but anyhow he just controlled his temptation and made up his mind to proceed to school. And he was hurrying towards the school. On the way, he came across the bulletin board. So in front of the bulletin board, students, a crowd was gathered. And this little Franz, as he was in a hurry and he was not able to understand why this mass is gathered in front of the bulletin board for him, and he thought that almost all the bad news for the past 2 years, they just received from the bulletin board, and he expected that what bad can happen to them. So it will be much better in case if he reach school on time. So he proceeded, and on the way he came across the blacksmith with his trainers and all. Even the blacksmith, he just called little Franz that don't be in a hurry to school today because you have got plenty of time. So Franz thought that maybe the blacksmith and that the trainer, they are making fun of him. He did not give importance and he proceeded towards school. And finally he entered the main, that is the campus of the school. So when he entered the campus at that time, he gasped for breath. He breathed very hardly. And he noticed that the scenario of the campus was different. As usually when he enters that campus, it was full of hustle and bustle, the noise of the students, and in unison they are reciting the poems, and his teacher M. Hamel, who is considered to be a very strict teacher, thumping his ruler on that the bench. So entire confusion noisy atmosphere. But today when he reached that gate, the campus, he felt that it is total change. It appeared like a Sunday morning. Everything was very calm and quiet. And in a very scared way, he just tried to enter the class because he was very much afraid of his teacher. So in that scared mood, he entered the class. But when he entered the class, his teacher did not scold him. Rather, he spoke to him in a very polite way, and he told him that, little Franz, we are just going to begin the lesson. So as far as the little Franz is concerned, he did not understand why his teacher, who is considered to be a very strict teacher, now speaking so politely, he is not able to grasp that one. And he was thinking, he just took his seat, and later on he noticed that his teacher, he wore the best dress. That means the dress which he always used to wear on the prize days. Prize days here means that is simply the important days that he wore on that very particular day, his green coat with the black and the frilled cap. So this poor chap, he was not able to understand. And when he was trying to comfort himself, he just glanced at the back. So at the back benches, to his surprise, it was filled with occupied by the villagers. So once again, that was a great surprise for him, and he is not able to understand why these people, all the villagers, even all the old peoples, the mayor of the city, and the old houser and the postmaster, each and every person were sitting. And when he was trying to understand the situation, at that time, his teacher M. Hamel, he entered the class, and he finally addressed the class and told them that, so dear, and today is the last French lesson. So this little Franz, when he heard this, the last French lesson, he just received it as like a thunderclap for him. It was a great shocking news for him. And now he tried to recollect that why so much people were gathered in front of the bulletin board, and why the blacksmith and the trainer, they told that not to be hurry, and why the school appeared to be like a Sunday morning and all. And he also understood that why his teacher wore the special dress, and even why the villagers were sitting in the back benches. So in the meantime, all of a sudden, after hearing this news, there was a drastic change in France. So to France, all these days, these books or the French language, the textbook and all, it seemed to be a great burden for him. He doesn't like to read that one. But after hearing this news, all of a sudden, it all changed. He just now loved the books, and to him, it appeared as if that they were his friends. And he started to give more importance to that one. And now he also felt very sorry for the teacher, And from that very particular moment, he understood that his teacher was really good. And today he felt very sorry that from the next day onwards, he won't be able to see his teacher, or he won't be able to there to impart them the French language. And all the villagers, so now the students, can you guess why the villagers were gathered in the backbench? It is only because they have come here to show their, or to express their gratitude for the great teacher who served in Alsace and Lorraine for the past 40 years. It might be the way they are trying to express. And also they wanted to express about their the regret, because they did not give importance to their French language. And now the teacher started with the chapter, and as he addressed the gathering, and he spoke in length about his language, and he told that this French language is the most beautiful language in the world. It is a logical language and the clearest language in the world. And he also told the people to safeguard their language as far as possible, because when you know your language, or when you give importance, or when you love your mother tongue, nobody can enslave you. So this is only the key to the prison. So he requested all the people gathered there to safeguard their language. So after the general introduction about the language, now the sir began with the grammar class. So when the grammar class began, to France, today he felt that the grammar which seemed to be so tough all these days, or the participles which he was not able to understand, so today it became very easy for him. And moreover, he thought that maybe his teacher all these days with great patience, he might not have taught. So today, in such a patience, he is teaching. So that's why he very easily understood all the grammar lesson. So once the grammar lesson was over, now it was the time for the writing part. And the teacher, M. Hamel, he has brought one new notebook, and he just distributed to all the people, those who were sitting there. And in that written in Alsace, Lorraine, it was written in almost all the pages. And he distributed it to the entire class. So why he did so? He did so just to create a patriotic feeling. Because, wherever you glance your eyes, only those two words, that is Alsace and Lorraine, that was seen in the classroom. And all the people, the villagers, the old postmaster, and all the other people, with great curiosity and interest, they were writing on the paper. And the only one sound that was heard was that the scratching sound of the pen and paper. So this Franz, time and again, while writing, he glanced at his teacher. He felt very sorry for the teacher. He also looked outside. So when he looked outside on the roof, one pigeon was sitting. So he thought to himself that from tomorrow onwards, the entire Alsace and Lorraine, the German language will be taught. So will the people can sing this pigeon in the German language? He was thinking to himself. And he also was observing his teacher. He felt very sorry for him. And he thought that this man who served so sincerely for the past 40 years, and now the time has come to leave that. Nothing has changed. Only the desk bench and all, it became somewhat old. And outside the scenario was that the the hop vines and the walnut trees and all, it was some 40 years ago, it might be very small, and now it has climbed high up on the wall and nothing more. So when he was thinking about all these things, in the meantime, M. Hamel called little Franz, because on that day, each and every one sitting in the class will be given a chance to speak something in their mother tongue. So now it was a term for little Franz. And Franz was so sentimental, and he just wanted to speak about this French language. But he was so much messed up with the words, he was so confused that he was not able to say a single word. So that's why he shook his head and he was standing in front. But by his facial expression, one can understand that, yes, he was really very eager to express himself. And on the other hand, he also feared Hamel because he would scold him. But on that day, that does not happen. Rather, he told them that it is not your fault, this little Franz. We all are to be reproach ourselves. Because when the time was there, he was just addressing the gathering. When the time was there, each and every person, they just postponed there. When the time was come, unlike you people and all, right from the beginning, you know that you are going to write the board examination. You have to keep yourself updated or just thorough with all the things. But then also we will be somewhat lazy, no, exam, no timetable. Tomorrow we'll study. Tomorrow we'll study this chapter. So that means what? We are postponing it. The similar happened there also. These people were postponing. So that's why M. Hamel told them that it is not only these boys, it is not his fault. We are all responsible for this, because when time was there, we were postponing the matter, and at the final hour, we are simply called the French people, but neither you can speak, means neither you can read French language, nor you can write the French language. And he also told that even he himself is responsible, because whenever he was not interested in means teaching, he just used to send the students to water the flowers in the garden, and sometimes he too wanted to have a break and go for fishing and all. So that's why he says that you are not to blame yourself, you should not feel sorry, all are responsible for that one. And now after that, the history class began. And even in the history class today, little Franz understood each and everything. And even the small children, who were sitting in the class, they also, in pin drop silence, they were listening. And finally, the phonetics class was there. That is where one should pronounce the sound. So on that very particular day, Mr. Hamel was pronouncing the French alphabet, and the people, those who had gathered there, they were repeating. So Franz, when he sees this scenario, he feels as if that this man, at the last day, at one stroke, he just wanted to give all the knowledge of the French to the people. So that's why, he says that the class appeared to be like a babies in the sense that all the people, whether they were the old or the young people, they were just repeating the phonetic sound or the alphabets of the French language. And finally, after the phonetics chapter, his teacher, he just stood by the side of the blackboard. And for the first time, Franz, he feels as if that his teacher, never he had seen his teacher to be such a huge figure and all. And finally, something, that choked his voice, because from outside now the drilling sound or the parading sound of that is a German people are being heard. And as a good or as a patriot, M. Hamel did not have the courage to face that situation. So that's why on the blackboard, he just wrote, Vive la France. That means, long live France. And after that, he did not speak even a single word. And just by gesture only, he just informed the class that the class is over, now they may go. So that's all about the lesson, dear students. The last lesson, I hope you might have understood it. Read your textbook once again so that you can understand it very clearly. So now the students, as little bit tips about, because in the previous class also some tips regarding the reading section was given to you. So now I would like to the tips regarding the writing section, because textual and all the sections are equally important. So in the writing part today, I'll give you some tips just about that debate and speech. And these are all the long questions that is being asked. So students, you might be familiar with the debate because in the schools and all, and in our island also, almost all the time, so many occasions are being organized where the inter-school debate competition or the speech competitions are being heard, and you might be participating. So you might be familiar, but then also examination point of view, certain points that you should keep it in mind. That is, the purpose of making a debate or speech is to convey information orally to a large gathering of people strongly and convincingly, because your language should be very clear. Your points, in case if you are debating, that means what? Your point should convince the mass and the jury members. So as far as the format is concerned, as usual in all these, the writing section and all, that is, it includes the topic. After writing the topic, then you should mention very clearly whether you are writing for the motion or against the motion. That should be clearly written. And students, always remember, you should, in examination, you should attempt only one part. That is, either you should write for the motion or against the motion. You should not write both. And the next part is the salutation, that is greeting the chief guest and the fellow speakers or the listeners or the audience, those who are sitting. And you can start by saying that, my dear friends, I stand before you to express my views. Then if you are saying for the motion, then for so and so topic if you tell, and in case if you are against, similarly against the motion and mention about the topic. So that is only addressing, that is honorable chairperson, judges, teachers, jury members, dear friends, my co-participants. Only this much you should, and the topic that should come under the first paragraph. So don't get confused, student. In case if you write paragraph or the systematically, you will 100% you will get marks. So the first paragraph, remember the first one, only heading. Then you have to write whether you are for speaking for the motion or against the motion. Then begin with honorable or the worthy chairperson, judges, teachers, jury members, friends, my co-participants, and about the topic, what you are going to speak, either for or against. Only this much in first paragraph. No more points you include it. Coming to the next one, that is the most important. Here you can increase your word limit, because in examination we have got the word limitation. So all the word limit should be included in the second paragraph. So express your views about the topic. You can compare, contrast, and sum up, highlighting your viewpoints. So this topic is in a freestyle. You can express your views and all. And finally, you use the language that is persuasive and powerful, using the expressions like, I vehemently disapprove of, I strongly feel, in my opinion, may I ask you, etc. So such interrogative type questions and all, it adds grace to this writing part, whether it is a debate or it is the speech. It just enhances your quality of writing. And the other part, that is the speech. And when you are delivering a speech, or in case in examination point of view, if you are asked to write a speech that is to be delivered in the morning assembly, so the most important thing in the speech, that is the clarity. Clarity in your expression, clarity in the thought, accuracy of the fact, and a balanced view. Because you should not give much weightage to one side and neglecting the others. A good speaker always maintains the balance. So balanced view should be there. And at the end of the speech, you can write, thank you. And in the beginning, I told you the word limit, students, that is 150 to 200 words. So the second paragraph is the only one area where you can increase your word limit. So always keep it in mind and accordingly try to analyze your ideas. And in examination time and all, in case if you just remember some point and all, at the last page, you just make a rough column and there you note down or you just mark some points over there, so that while writing the the speech, or the debate, you can come across. And the marking scheme, students, that is for the format, you will get 1 mark. So that is the format should be very clear. The heading, for or against, and towards the end, thank you. And the content gets 4 marks. And for expression, students, 5 marks. And expression includes grammatically, it should be accurate, appropriate words, coherence and relevance of ideas, and style. And these all comes under the expression. And in case if you keep in mind all these points, sure you will get. So finally, before leaving, students, some question for practice. I hope that as this the lockdown period has been extended and all, and you might be at home having lot of time. So please note down these the 2 questions, student. The very first one, online smart classes are the future of education style. Write a debate either for or against the motion. And the number 2, the first one is the debate and the second question is regarding the speech. Mobile phone of today is no longer a mere means of communication. Music lovers are so glued to it that they do not pay attention even to the traffic while crossing the roads. This leads to accidents, sometimes even fatal ones. Write a speech in 150 to 200 words to be delivered in the morning assembly, advising the students to be careful in the use of this otherwise the very useful gadget. Imagine you are the principal of your school. I hope, students, you will definitely try to attempt these 2 questions. Thank you.